People think survival is about skills, how to build a fire, how to find water, how to make a shelter before nightfall. They buy the gear, they watch the tutorials, they practice in safe conditions. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. In real survival situations, fire fails, shelters collapse, water sources disappear, and the people who know all the skills are often the first ones to die. Not because they lacked knowledge, but because something inside them broke first. When chaos hits, when fear floods your body, when your heart is racing and your hands are shaking, physical skills don't save you. They become unreachable. The most important survival tool isn't in your pack. It's not something you can lose, break, or forget at home. It's something you already have, and it's the single skill that decides whether you live or quietly give up when everything goes wrong. Section 1. The great lie of survival. We love physical skills because they feel controllable. You can practice them, measure them, buy better versions of them. But all of those skills are controlled by one fragile system: your mind. There's a reason survival instructors teach the rule of threes: 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. It's a hierarchy of priorities. But here's the problem. Panic doesn't respect priorities. When panic hits, logic shuts down, time distorts, energy drains fast. A panicked person doesn't think clearly. They run, they waste strength, they chase the wrong problem, they search for food while freezing, they carry fire gear they can't use because their hands won't stop shaking. The knowledge is still there, but the mind has locked it away. This is the great deception of survival training. We obsess over what to do and ignore how to stay mentally capable of doing it. That's why elite military programs teach this first. Survival is not about strength. It's not about gear. It's about keeping your mind online when everything inside you wants to shut down. Because the best equipped person in the world is helpless once their mind quits. Section 2. The real master skill. So what is the skill that matters most? It's not optimism. It's not positive thinking. It's a resilient mindset, a trained mental response to chaos. A resilient mindset means this: you feel fear, but you don't obey it. You accept reality without denial or drama. You act logically, even when emotions are screaming. This mindset is what separates survivors from victims. Think about Aaron Ralston, trapped alone in a canyon, pinned by a boulder, days without food or water. Fear was unavoidable, pain was constant, but his mind didn't break. He accepted the situation, analyzed his options, and made the hardest decision imaginable, cutting off his own arm to live. That wasn't a physical skill. That was a mind that refused to surrender. Survivors share this trait across every disaster, every environment, every era. Their mindset has 3 core components: calm assessment, the ability to slow down panic and see clearly; adaptability, using what's available instead of wishing for more; purposeful action, breaking survival into small, winnable steps. And here's the key truth. This mindset is not talent. It's training.
Section 3. Forging the mind before the crisis. You don't build resilience during the emergency. You build it before you need it. First, voluntary discomfort. Modern life removes discomfort from everything, and that makes the mind weak. Cold showers, fasting, training in bad weather, sleeping on the floor. These aren't punishments. They teach your brain one thing: discomfort is survivable. Every small hardship builds mental calluses. Second, mental rehearsal. Close your eyes and imagine things going wrong, getting lost, equipment failing, weather turning against you. Feel the fear, then practice calming down. Visualize thinking clearly, making decisions, solving one problem at a time. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined stress. Rehearsal builds neural pathways you'll rely on automatically. Third, become someone who figures things out. Every skill you learn reinforces one belief: I am capable under pressure. Knowledge builds confidence. Confidence protects the mind. Section 4. The moment everything changes. When the crisis hits, fear will arrive first. Your job isn't to eliminate it. Your job is to control it. That's where one simple protocol saves lives. S.T.O.P. Stop. Freeze your movement. Sit down. Breathe. The fastest way to die is to panic into action. Think. Remind yourself you prepared for this. Revisit priorities. Shelter beats food. Calm beats speed. Observe. Scan your environment. Weather, terrain, time, resources, condition. Plan. Not a grand plan. One step. Out of the wind, then warmth, then water.
Survival is not heroic, it's methodical. Section 5. Winning the long game. Hours are one thing, days are different. This is where the mind becomes the real battlefield. Hopelessness arrives quietly. The solution is structure. Create routines. Small tasks, daily wins. Structure gives purpose. Purpose keeps morale alive. And when negative thoughts come, and they will, you don't argue with them. You acknowledge them and move forward anyway. You remind yourself, this moment is hard, not endless. The survivors of the Andes crash understood this. They didn't wait for rescue. They built routines. They acted. Their bodies were broken. Their minds were not. CTA. This mindset isn't just for the wilderness. It works in every crisis. So here's your challenge. The next time life overwhelms you, stop, think, observe, plan, one step forward. Train your mind now, because one day, chaos won't ask if you're ready. And when it comes, the mind you've built will decide the outcome. Conclusion. Gear can be lost. Skills can fail. But the mind that refuses to break is the one tool that never leaves you. Survival isn't about what's in your hands. It's about what stays calm inside your head when everything else falls apart. Train that, because in the end, it's what brings you home.